Have you ever wondered why our smartphones are highly addictive and why it seems impossible to put them aside for more than a couple of minutes? What if I told you that we carry in our pockets tiny slot machines? Would that make any sense to you? If you wish to know why and what you can do to overcome this toxic addiction quickly and fairly easily, stay tuned till the end. Imagine those old-school slot machines in Vegas. Though it is common knowledge that the odds to lose a few games in a row are always higher than winning, the toxic gambling industry is only growing bigger and will likely double itself by the next few years. Over 10 million Americans are suffering from gambling addiction, and a quarter of the whole gambling community worldwide experiences financial problems that lead to some serious trouble in their lives. Do you ever wonder about the secret power that drives all these people towards allegedly irrational behavior and makes them lose the bigger game in life? In order to understand that, we need to speak a bit about psychology. 50 years ago, a professor of psychology at Harvard University named B.F. Skinner experimented on human behavior to test psychological tension and release. He put a few pigeons in a box with a food container. The food container was opened every time the pigeons pressed against a lever. It sometimes served food, and other times it didn't. Skinner noticed that the birds would lose interest if the food reward came too frequently, just as much as it came too rarely. Skinner concluded that there is some formula of a ratio between reward and non-reward that would optimize the bird's incentive to press against the lever and make sure they will never lose interest in playing the lever game. Another commonly known experiment was conducted roughly 50 years earlier by a Russian psychologist, Nobel Prize winner, named Ivan Pavlov. Pavlov tested a dog's response to a recurring stimulus by playing a metronome sound each time before the dog was given food. He noticed the dog began salivating after a few times in response to the metronome, even without any food being given to the dog. These two experiments are capable of explaining why gambling addicts can't cease the bad habit they have. First, these gambling machines are designed according to the same formula of the reward against non-reward ratio to preserve a high tension and constant dopamine supply. Secondly, these machines always provide colorful flashes of light and spectacle, followed by an exciting auditory experience every time the player pulls the lever and the game runs. So that eventually, even without having any reward associated with the game, these flashes and sounds by themselves would be sufficient to provoke excitement and a high dopamine response. But all these old-school machines can't really be compared to our cutting-edge modern smartphones, you probably think. Well, let's see. Each time we open our smartphone, we unconsciously and instinctively drag our thumb down the screen to unfold the notification bar. That's the first slot machine button we trigger, according to some survey, for around an average of 110 times each day. By quickly unfolding the notification bar with our thumb, we release the tension and satisfy our curiosity. The slot machine has just yielded its random state for us, and it ain't 3 apples in a row. And just like any other gambling device, the results are more likely to be disappointing time by time. It's just a pale list of nonsense. Some dummy app again demands to be updated, and a few other messages on WhatsApp between 2 others. Not precisely the "someone likes your profile photo" or "you have a new match on Tinder" that you were expecting. But that low rate of reward probability is exactly what suits the formula that works the best on our brains. However, the story doesn't end with the launch of the device. It's only the appetizer, the door that opens up a rabbit hole of a dopamine festival. Feeds are quite common nowadays. You can easily find infinite and intelligible recommendations, post lists, and distracting notifications on Facebook, Netflix, Amazon, Twitter, CNN, Tinder, TikTok, and the list goes on and on. Each time we scroll down the feed, we play a slot machine of an unconscious and useless search for a reward, something of any personal significance to us. All these endless transient posts that fleet in front of our eyes are reminiscent of the spinning fruits of the slots machine. Then we stop the feed using our thumb, check if we won, and pull the machine's trigger once again, scrolling down the feed. This is not a global conspiracy. All these big corporations haven't signed a mutual secret contract on how to fool their customers. It's simply a result of a trial and error process by each of these companies in the race to optimize revenues by maximizing engagement to the highest possible extent. All these apps simply play a role in a ruthless competition to win the user's attention. And the more ruthless a player is, the more effective he is. All these apps plug and play into a common interface that operates in a ruthlessly effective psychological chain reaction effect. The user hears a notification sound, experiences high tension that needs to be released, checks his phone, and is immediately thrown into some infinite list of items. Then after a while, he suddenly finds himself wandering around with no rational reason. Once we understand the psychological chain reaction effect, we can easily start dismantling it piece by piece. The best advice would be to completely disable all notifications on our smartphone. But if it sounds too extreme for you, you can try an alternative approach. The trick is to find the few apps that are responsible for most of the noise and distractions on your device. It usually belongs to social network apps, WhatsApp groups, or related to people with whom you communicate most often. Simply single these out and mute any bells they produce. Then swipe the notification to the left, choose Settings, and disable the notifications. Once you do so, you should feel significant relief, reduce addiction and stress, and gain more ability to focus on your own goals in life. So don't just stare at the screen. Take action right away and make a change. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe if you found this content somewhat helpful.